but with a lot of pressure, with a lot of athleticism, and a lot of power. Carolyn Greco says thanks. This is USA Teqball right here. She is the world champion for the first time.
I was like a tomboy, I remember. I have an older brother. He's a year and a half older than me, so we were close in age, except there was a big height difference between the two of us. He's like a really big guy. He's 6'3". He was an early bloomer as well, so he was maturing and growing faster than me. And so our age gap looked much bigger than what it was. Naturally, I turned into this competitive person because, you know, I'm always chasing after my brother and playing sports with him. And yeah, so that was kind of my childhood, and my family's very close. So yeah, that was a little bit of how I grew up and why I grew up into a competitive person. Oh, they're the best. Shout out to mom and dad. I love them so much. Now, they really supported me throughout my whole soccer career. Never pushed me too hard. It was always my own decision to play and to work hard. And they were just very supportive of allowing me to go and play. And I'm forever grateful for that. I speak with my mom pretty regularly, once or twice a week, I'd say, and my dad too. So we're quite close, I'd say, but you know, not too close. They're so proud of me. Sometimes it's embarrassing in public. They're like sharing so many stories. I'm like, you guys, I'm 31. Like, please stop talking about Teqball with people. No one wants to hear anymore. But I know it comes from such a place of love, and they're just so proud of me. And yeah, it's kind of embarrassing. Honestly, I always just went with what I enjoyed to do. I didn't dream of having some particular career. I was always a good student across the board, and in every subject I made sure to study very hard and got good grades. And actually in college I went on to study environmental science, and I currently work for the engineering division of a water company, and I do some environmental consulting for them. So I've always felt an affinity to, you know, the planet and to climate change and reducing my own carbon footprint to help the planet. So I grew up in Orange County, so we had season tickets to the Angels games, and so I enjoy watching baseball a lot. In terms of soccer, I really grew up watching the women's national team. The 99ers is what they're called, at least at the time, and they won many world championships. I really looked up to Brandi Chastain. She was like one of the heroes of the team. She's now like somewhat of like a mentor to me, which is really like full circle, such a crazy thing to say out loud, but it's really cool to have somebody like her in my corner. I definitely look up to her as a role model, particularly, I forget if it was the Olympics or the World Cup, but there was a moment before they won in the semis or the quarters where Brandi Chastain actually scored an own goal. And I was shocked, the world was shocked. They were down a goal at this point. They came back to win the game, and then she went on to score the game winner in the championship final. And I remember just being so inspired by that. And yeah, so I definitely looked up to her quite a bit for her resilience. I can only hope to have a drop of that kind of courage that she has. My ethnic background is I'm Italian and Argentinian. And so a lot of people in my family played soccer as well. So I was one of the youngest out of all of my first cousins, which were a really big family. So just watching everybody grow up and playing soccer, I naturally was a tomboy and copied all my older brothers and older cousins. And yeah, I continued to play soccer for that reason. I was playing for FC Lugano, the women's professional team in southern part of Switzerland. And we were playing Juventus, and we were at the Juventus playing area. And in their kind of like warm-up practice field area, I saw a Teqball table. And that was actually the first time I saw a Teqball table. I didn't actually play myself. We were about to, play a game, but I remember looking at it and thinking, like that looks really fun. And yeah, that's where I first saw a Teqball table. I was stressed out my first international event. I'll never forget. I was playing with someone who I had never played with before. I was told, you're gonna play with this guy. Don't worry, we'll pay for your trip. So that part was not stressful, but it was right before the first World Championship. I just didn't want to embarrass myself right before the first World Championship, where I felt like I really had a good shot in women's singles, women's doubles. But I was playing with this guy that he is a good player, all respect to him, but I had never played with him. I didn't really know if he was capable either, because it was his first international trip as well. That night, I did not sleep. I'm not joking. I think I got 45 minutes of sleep and then woke up, and yeah, it was horrible. I don't think we even made it out of group, but I think we won one game, so I was proud. I usually don't sleep well before games. Yeah, just like any game, I don't. Well, and usually when I don't sleep, I actually play better. So, because I think there's a level of healthy nerves that you need going into a game. And I think if I'm sleeping really well, that means I'm too relaxed going into a tournament. I don't think that's for everyone, but but for me, I know that if I don't sleep, that means I have a healthy level of nerves, that I'm really taking it seriously and I'm gonna bring it. I love when it's coming towards the end of the set or the match, and you feel you're gonna win this game. That's my favorite feeling, and then you can just put it away because you have that ultimate confidence that. And even if I'm a little down by a point or it's just close, I feel that it's coming. That's my favorite part about Teqball, is coming towards the end of the set and you feel like you're gonna take it. Never. Yes, I have. I'm only human, I get frustrated, and there's moments, I think I remember the first World Championship. I won't say who I was playing against, but I was really frustrated during the match. It was really close, and she was an unexpectedly very good player for me. She wasn't really on my radar as someone who I was going to be competing with, and she was good. And I just remember being frustrated, and I kind of threw the ball really hard back at her for a serve, which it wasn't too hard, but it was maybe a little too hard, you know what I mean? So that's something I wasn't proud of. I find myself shouting during matches. I can get a little bit hot-headed. That's just kind of who I am. I'm very competitive, and it sometimes does get the best of you while you're out there. Yeah, I always really enjoy running into everybody from all over the world, and I feel every time I travel somewhere, it's oh, I have a friend over here, I have a friend over here, let's reach out to them. And if they're ever in LA too, we always have people who are international reaching out to us to come and train. It's a good vibe having friends from all over the world. I don't exactly know, but I think I was just in the right place at the right time. I was in really good form for football, and I also was in a place where I wanted to stay in Southern California. That's my home, and I was living away from Southern California for 8 years, so a pretty long time, and I was ready to move home and just focus on family, career, things like that. And it happened to align that Teqball was coming to LA, and I was still wanting to compete in some football sport. I didn't really imagine it was necessarily going to be Teqball, but I did realize I was at a huge advantage when I was one of the first players, and I saw how established the sport was, and I decided I could take it very seriously, and I'm in great form now, so why not? Not the most humble answer. No, I wasn't surprised. I really thought I was going to win going into that tournament, or if not win, I knew I was in really good form to be a top contender for it at the very least. I can, and it was a weird feeling. Honestly, I thought I was going to be just crying, so happy to accomplish my goal, and I was actually so not at all that way. I mean, of course I was happy, but I think I'm more affected when I lose than actually when I win. It wasn't until a few days later that I was like genuinely soaking it in and like happy about it. But I actually came to realize in that moment that Teqball is just like an aspect of my life. It's not my everything. And it was such a good feeling though. I mean, I accomplished my goal. I wanted to be a world champion. And, but yeah, it's just like a small part of me. I have so much more to offer than just Teqball. And I can't believe I didn't cry when it happened, to be honest. But good feeling to know that it's not my everything. One day sports will be left behind and I can say I did that, which is great. And yeah. I'm okay with it. First, I made a lot of mistakes. That's what it came down to. And I feel like I was constantly in the attack and missing the table. And that's frustrating. But at the end of the day, the reason why I could sleep at night is because I'm like, well, the ball was in my hand, and I just f***ed up. I was going for it every time and I was just missing. And to some extent, I was using some new technique and I really committed to some of the tactics that I had put out to achieve. You're trying new things, you're trying to evolve as a player, you're naturally gonna fall back and fail along the way as a part of the growth. I'm proud of myself for really committing to it. I was using my foot to serve on my first and second serve. I think I didn't double fault the whole tournament with that, so I was really proud of that. And then outside of that, I was using a different technique on my attack as well with the smash. It's a little too technical to try to describe, but yeah, so I was unfortunately missing a lot, but I'm proud of myself for getting as far as I did, showing the tenacity that I did to really stick to my game plan. And kudos to Rafaela, truly. She had a fantastic tournament. Her defense is incredible. Yeah, she's a great player. She deserved to win. Kimmy and I were first cousins, but in many ways I feel like we're more like sisters. We grew up very close our whole lives, and she was one of the first people I called when Teqball was kicking off. She had nothing to do during COVID. And so I was like, hey girl, you wanna move to LA and start playing the sport with me? And we just started training her up, and I told her, eventually you're gonna be one of the best in the country. Like, I can just tell. And she was like, I don't know. She's a little more timid than me maybe. And but her whole life, she's like always copied what I did. I'm like 4 or 5 years older than her, so she's always kind of followed in my footsteps and walked in my shadow, and I'm very happy with it that she's always done that. She's such a good kid. It always pushed me to be a good role model for her too, because I wanted her to grow up to be someone, a good standing person in society, and so I feel it also helped me to hold myself accountable as well, and sharing the field with her is just so amazing. She's such a sweet, wonderful person. I feel so grateful to have someone like her in my life, and the support that we have for each other that maybe was lacking with my previous women's doubles partner is like emotional support, and just knowing she has my back is something that's really important to me as a teammate. One of the best in the US, if not the best attacker in the US by far. So it really helps me to play to my strengths, which is like defense and setting, which is a little different than my last partnership. Yeah, the first thing I usually say is, have you ever seen Teqball before? And then depending on their answer, I'll say, well, it's basically a hybrid between ping pong and soccer. A lot of times these conversations happen while I'm actually around a table, because I do a lot of like grassroots promoting in LA, and I'll demonstrate for them, and they're immediately pretty amazed, like, wow, how do you do that? And I like to get them involved as well, and tell them, you should try, it's a lot of fun. And usually they're a little timid, it can look a little intimidating, definitely, but make people feel welcome to play, and it's really fun to be able to share that. I am really like a glass half full kind of person. I'm very positive in whatever situation. I also practice a lot of gratitude. I'm always praying, thanking God for all of the opportunities. I'm so grateful. And I think having an attitude like that, it really makes me be in the moment and appreciate everything, and take every moment seriously as well, because I'm so grateful for every moment. it's like 90-10. Like 90% of the time, it's such a good thing having someone like Frankie in my corner and playing with him and training with him especially. We are so good about like pushing each other, like off the field, like pushing each other and holding ourselves accountable to be some of the best athletes. Honestly, Frankie, discussing Teqball, his Teqball mind is very strong. That's also why I love to have him in my coaching corner while I'm playing singles. He's such a smart player. He was also a very smart soccer player as well. So his ability to strategize is something that I respect a lot. And yeah, sometimes I wish I could just like read his mind during the games because he sees things that I don't, that seem obvious later. I'm like, how did he do that? You know, and yeah, he's got a great Teqball mind. He's definitely one of the best in that aspect, for my opinion. I'm not really a morning person, so he'll make sure to wake us up early to get a training in before work. And I'm like, I don't want to get out of bed. He'll make coffee and bring me a coffee in bed so that I get up. That's like the trade. So in that sense, I'm like super grateful for him because he really pushes me to, you know, do the extra trainings and things that I obviously should be doing. But then also I'm kind of pushing him to do other things too. Like I cook a lot of our healthy food and I'm doing a lot of our like fitness strategies, like at the trainings, I'm setting up ladders and cone drills and things like that for agility, and just the way that we push each other is something really beautiful. I'm really thankful for that. But the 10% of the time, you know, while we're playing, sometimes it is challenging, but the bickering is honestly kind of cute sometimes. Like I love him. he knows I love him. And I know he loves me too. And it comes from a place of like, we just really want this. And yeah, so that kind of sucks. I really love women's singles. There's not always a lot of opportunities to play women's singles. I feel like playing one-on-one with someone is such a gratifying feeling though. You're fully just present, in control by yourself. I've always loved like 1v1 moments in football too. Like you and another person, like who is it? I think that's such a fun feeling. So yeah, I really enjoy singles quite a bit. I think Kinga is playing such good Teqball right now. A lot of respect for her. I think that the way she plays, her attacks are so strong, her defense is so strong. She's just so well-rounded as a player. I think Kinga's probably the strongest right now. Definitely for me it's Appor. I don't like to choose favorites necessarily because, you know, there are so many fantastic players in the sport, but the way that Appor plays is so admirable. He's always going for it. You know, even when he lost in the championship this past year, like I know that feeling too. And for him to lose on like a double fault, like he went for it. You know, at the end of the day, he also had the ball in his hands when he lost. And so I just have tremendous respect for him and the way he plays. I always enjoy the Serbians. I think they have such great chemistry, but also very real with each other out there. They're transparent with how they feel. And which can be like a good and bad thing. In my opinion, it's a good thing. You're never gonna wonder what they're thinking. You know, it's very obvious. Like, and they've been playing together for so long. It's such a respectable duo, in my opinion. And I think that they're also very smart players. They're able to decisively break down another team in ways that I think sometimes other teams can be like more predictable with their style of play. You know what's coming, versus I feel like with them there's just this level of keeping your opponent on your toes. So yeah, I would say I think they're one of the best and one of the teams that I enjoy watching a lot. In women's doubles, I mean the tie are unbeatable at this point. I think for a long time they're going to be champions. Yeah, sorry. I probably shouldn't admit that, but even going into the last World Championship, my cousin and I kind of knew what the result was going to be before we played them in the semifinal. So we were just out there kind of having a good time at that point. We were like, all right, well, we're gonna do this. Let's have fun. I think they're gonna be reigning for quite a long time until everybody else figures out how to do backflips. I always really enjoyed Baco and Leia playing together. I thought they were such a good duo when they were at their prime. That's a team I really hope to see again.